And same thing, just keep a little bit of tension on them. And go back to our steep downward angle. And just pull that scope till it's perfectly matching the bubble in the HAMSKEA. We're dead on. Go ahead and tighten your third axis back down. Now, every time you make an adjustment like this, you want to make sure that when you tighten it, it didn't change it. Okay? So we'll check it again. And we're dead on. Now, so all intents and purposes, this bow is perfectly level. Barring you have any shift from static to full draw, and that would be good enough for flat ground. But we want this thing to be absolutely perfect, so when we put the pin in the middle, we're able to hit what we're talking about. So next step is to insert the 4-inch sight pin, the alignment pin, into the HAMSKEA level and tighten your jam nut down. And what this alignment pin does is, this alignment pin is perfectly parallel to this first axis surface, which is going to go up against your first axis bar. So we're going to go ahead and put it here on your first axis bar, and you want to put it to where you can see the pin here above the scope and above and below the scope, because you're going to be looking at these 2 points on a reference line. Okay. Now the importance of this this pin is this. If your bow shifts from static to full draw, it's going to do this. Okay. Now that's going to change the level bubble in the scope, but it's also going to change the level bubble in the HAMSKEA Easy third axis level. And that's going to make them read false, because when you go back and cross level them, that's going to give you a false reading, and you're going to have an angle in your first axis bar. Now, the alignment pin basically does the same thing. We know that that's parallel to the first axis, so if we put it on a perfectly plumb bob line, then we know our first axis bar is straight up and down. But what the third axis, what this alignment pin is not susceptible to, is not susceptible to the static to full draw change. Okay, and so we're going to use it as our indicator to tell us whether or not we're getting the change. Now, stick with us here. We're going to go over to a line that we've described and show you exactly what we're talking about. Okay, now we're over here to set this example up to show you how to go ahead and use the alignment pin to go ahead and do your third axis at full draw. Okay, now what we've done here is we've just scribed a line here on this piece of paper that's perfectly level. Okay, it's perfectly plumb, straight up and down. Okay, you can use a door jamb, but check them. All door jambs are not perfectly level. A crack on the door jamb, you can plumb bob a line. There's just about anything. If you're out hunting, you can just hang a string from a limb and double check your bow to make sure, if you fell on it, that it's dead on. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we've got these 2 points, or these 2 pinpoints on the end of this alignment pin. We're going to go ahead and draw this bow back at a hard cant, and we're going to put 1 pin here and 1 pin here. Okay. Now what that's going to tell us is we know that the alignment pin is not subject to change like the level bubble is. So it's a constant, and that's still telling us that our first axis bar is straight up and down. We will then verify the bubble in the scope to make sure it's matching the alignment pins. And if it is not, then we'll make that small adjustment, and then you'll know what kind of shift you have from static to full draw also. So what we're going to do here is you're just going to stand really close to the wall. You're going to draw your bow back at a severe angle. You're going to put the top pin on the line, the bottom pin on the line, and double check the level in the scope. Okay? This one's off just a little bit. Means I'm getting a shift from static to full draw of approximately 1/8 of a bubble. I will go ahead and loosen these 2 screws, make that adjustment, and my bow is absolutely perfectly level for the most extreme shots you could possibly ever make. Now, let's come back over here, and we're going to show you one more little thing that I go ahead and do on my bows to make them where they're just that much better and that much more forgiving. I spoke with you earlier about how I like to have my bows set up with a little bit of a cant. Now, we know that these bubbles now are perfect. They're not lying to us. And this bubble is slaved to this whole system. Now, in order to set a bow up to where you can naturally can it, see, if I cant this bow over like this, and this thing is still straight up and down when I level this, that's all that matters, okay? So in order to do that, what I would do is I would draw my bow back, as I would shoot it in set up for tournament or for hunting, and I would draw it back with my eyes closed, okay? And when I opened my eyes, if that level bubble was not level, I would loosen these two screws right here. And one of these holes is wallowed out, okay? It's got a little bit of oblong to it. And I would just tilt that bar and adjust it to where when I drew that bow back with my eyes closed, it was perfectly level at full draw. Tighten it back down, and your sight is still dead level. It has nothing to do with it. We just leveled the first axis to the riser to start with to make it easy for you to understand. Okay? This tournament bow is absolutely perfectly level. Now let's go to a pin sight, and we'll show you how to use the HAMSKEA Easy third axis level to level a pin sight.